Hello, welcome to Now Tell Us. At Now Tell Us is where we get to have guests come and tell us stories. They come and inspire us, they come and educate us on a subject, and it's always interesting. Always. And so that means even today it's going to be interesting because we have a great guest with us. His name is Edward Miskie. He was dumped during cancer. Can you imagine that? Who can do that? Dumping someone when he's going through a tough time. Now, that's a story that we are going to hear together. I want to remind you now, if you want to hear past episodes of this podcast and future episodes, you can always go to nowtellus.com. And we thank you because of you, our guests and our viewers. We've ranked number 2 at Podmatch. Wow. Thank you very much. It's a great thing to start the year with. So, today's episode is going to start in a short while. So, we're going to meet our guests together. Here we go. I'm your host, Anthony Murore, and here is Now Tell Us. Hello, Edward.
Hi, Anthony. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Welcome to Now Tell Us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's such an honor to have you here because you're going to tell us stories that we are interested to hear. Now, you say that there are many things that people don't talk about when they talk about cancer, and we're going to find them out today in this episode. But before we go into that, where are you?
I'm in New York City.
Okay, that's beautiful. How is the weather today?
It appears to be beautiful. I haven't been outside yet. I've just been working all day.
Wow, so you work from home?
I do, yeah.
That's interesting. What do you do?
I work in marketing sales. It's coursework with a career coach online.
That's beautiful. And it's good that these days the people can work from anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade it any other way. I really love being able to work at home. It's great. My
Mm.
bedroom's like right over there, and I just come over here and get everything done.
And I love your background. What's all that? I mean, you
Oh,
have
thank
some
you. This is
beautiful.
actually a French artist named RS Artist, is what he goes
Okay.
by on Instagram. It's the Venus, David, and Mona Lisa, and he does like graffiti and artwork and spray paint over top of them. I found them online. I absolutely love them. They're huge. They're like, I think it's like a 36 by 24 or something like that. So good. Love
So
him.
you love art.
I do. I do. I just got back from Paris a couple weeks ago. I went to the Louvre for the first time.
Do you paint yourself?
I used to, yeah. Yeah, I used to. I have like one or two up here on my wall that I made myself.
Okay,
It's not something I do regularly.
that's beautiful. Now let's go into a story. You talk of a story where you were dumped during cancer, and the lessons that you got from that and the experiences you've had from that. Now, we would love to know, when were you diagnosed with cancer?
I was diagnosed at the end of 2011.
Mm-hmm.
I had just finished doing a musical in Reno, Nevada,
Okay.
and this lump under my arm kind of like blew up to this really big bulbous thing. And I came back. I saw my doctor, had a biopsy, and like a week later, like right after Thanksgiving, I was in the hospital, like getting my first round of chemo.
Mm-hmm. And how was it? How did you go about it in the initials? How did you take the report?
I mean, there was a lot of me that just kind of checked out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was part of me that was like, I'm just gonna do this and I'm gonna kick this thing's ass and I'm gonna be fine. And then there was part of me that was obviously terrified. And then there was part of me that just kind of like wasn't there, that I wasn't like paying attention. I was just kind of like, cool, I'm here, this is what's happening, let's do it, cool.
Mm. I get it. Sometimes you meet with something that you don't know how to respond, whether you're going to take it, leave it, or flee, or give up on life. And then, so I get it when you say that you had different perspectives to it. And then we dive straight into the story. H- What happened that you are damned? How did that?
um well, I mean, I had met this person, I think about up until that point maybe like 6 to 8 months prior,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of a casual thing, and then it got a little more serious, but it was long distance, and I traveled a lot being an actor, and so I didn't get to see them that often. But once this happened, things changed a lot, and communication started to break down, and I kind of suspected that something was wrong, or at least changed or was different. And then after a period of time, I was able to confirm that, and it just kind of all unraveled from there.
Hmm. Now, as we are speaking, you're smiling, you're laughing. So I want to imagine that cancer is a past thing in your life now,
Yeah, 10 years.
10 years. And I kind of imagine how that went when you are done during that tough time. How was it?
Oh, I did not handle it well. I said some choice things that were I mean, not my finest hour, right? But how else are you supposed to respond to something like that? Like when you're experiencing something so catastrophic. I already was in a place where none of the treatment was really working. I had gone through multiple rounds of chemo, and the tumor wasn't going away. It kept growing back. And I had started doing radiation, and there was conversation about doing a stem cell transplant, which I did not want to do.
Mm,
And all this time, this communication with this guy that I was dating just kind of started breaking down. And like I'd be on the phone with him, and he'd be like, "Oh, hang on, my dad's calling me," but like he didn't really talk to his dad, so it was like, "You're lying." And I think there was a point where I just kind of surrendered to the idea that like this is just how it was going to be, because I needed not necessarily him, but the relationship to hold on to it as something real that was going on in my life that I could control, or at least feel like I was participating in some kind of life. Because up until that point during treatment, you don't have any control. You are going to appointments at your doctor's behest. You are showing up when they tell you to show up. You're eating what they tell you to eat. And so then being with this person was kind of like the one thing that I had that was mine. And so, like, having that being taken away from me because they couldn't handle this situation, and like wasn't strong enough to stick around and be that person for me, like that hurt twice as bad, not just because it was over, but because of what it signified, which was that I no longer had control over anything, and this kind of like idea of a future that I had pinned on him was now also gone.
some things usually don't go as planned. Many things,
No.
like the technology is not giving us a good chance today. So and that happens also in life. Many things don't go as planned. Now, can you refresh your page as we are going on?
Yeah, sure,
And
give me 1 second.
yes, please do that. Refresh, and then we'll see it's gonna improve as we move. So as we are saying, things don't usually go the way that you plan them. Some are unexpected, and you keep going. Sometimes you refresh. Yeah, welcome back.
Okay, I'm back. Is that better?
Yes, the sound has improved.
Okay, good.
Yes, so that's life. Things happen, things go the way you get a diagnosis that is not so pleasing. You get some reports that are not so pleasing. But you got to keep on moving. You've got to refresh your life. How
Yeah. That's such a great way of putting it too, like refreshing your life, just like starting over,
Yeah. Now tell us where you are from where you were, and let's know how you came to where you are right now, the things, the changes you made in your life, and what's the future like.
Sure. So, I mean, like where I was back then, I had a lot of career momentum. I was starting to like really see fruits of the seeds that I had been planting for years and years kind of come to pass. And then all of that got taken away, obviously, because I had to become like this full time patient and like heal and survive and live. And then once that kind of happened, I had to become a whole different person. The person that I was before that, like I always talk about how that person is dead. That person has died. They don't exist anymore. And like, yes, I might look similar and have similar characteristics or things that have happened in my life that mirror that person. But where I stand today, I'm nothing like that person. Again, might resemble, might mimic some of the things that I did or liked or, whatever have you back then. But it was a huge transformation to have to kind of come out of cancer and being told, oh, you're cancer free now, to then have to rebuild your entire life from scratch. Cause like your relationship's gone, your friendships have changed, you haven't been working because you can't, and so you are at zero and you just have to start over.
Now, we haven't known each other before this episode, so there is quite much that I may not know about you, and the listener may not know about you. Now, and I know there are different perspectives to people who say or peg their ideas on the causes and effects of cancer or in many other diseases. Do you have an what's your perspective on diseases being caused, and is there a way that we participate in causing the diseases, and specifically in this case, cancer?
I mean, in some cases, sure. I mean, you have like lung cancer that is oftentimes caused by smoking or environmental things that kind of get into your body. You can have stomach cancer or intestinal cancer based on foods that you eat. Lymphoma is, which is what I had. I should probably clarify. I had a rare enlarged B cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a rare type of cancer. That didn't have any history in my family. There were no real reasons why I should have had it. It's why it was rare. There were very few cases to speak of at that time. When I hit my 5 year mark of being cancer free, I was told that I was a sole survivor and that no one else who had that type of cancer had lived that long or had lived that long without a recurrence. So as far as like something that maybe I would have done or participated in, no, there's no way to trace that.
Mhm.
It's completely a freak accident that, that's why again, it's rare. There's no real way of knowing one way or another.
But how? Where did it leave you on life choices? What were there things that you used to do before that, through the and through the experiences that you went through in the treatment of cancer, through the changes in lifestyle of friendships that you had, being damned and everything? Are there things? Did you have a different awakening? Did you have a different perspective on life and change some things?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like when I came out of it and like had that moment where it was like, oh, you're cancer free, but like you have no component of your life that you recognize, you get to start over. And like that's really scary, but it can also be really exciting. Like I have friends that I don't really see anymore from that period of time. I behave differently within the way that I treat people. um like it really just kind of when you have to face your mortality like that, like coming that close to dying, it really does kind of change the way that you handle yourself. I definitely have more empathy now. I try to like, I'm not as reactive. Like I try to think about what is happening and what I'm going to say before I say it. Um, like I think that I would like to think that I've become a better person from that period of time, from what I was before. And that I think solely has to do with the fact that it was such a scary time to live through, and my parents were super supportive, and my circle of friends were very supportive. But from the beginning of it until to now, like I know that they're there for me, and that has given me this sense of relief. I think in my life that maybe I didn't have before. That if something would happen, I know exactly who's going to be there for me.
Okay, thank you for that. And when we come back, we are going to talk about a book that you've written. Now, please do another refresh and then we'll come back to the book. I
Okay,
discovered that you have written a book. Go ahead and
great.
refresh. Yeah. Sorry to our listeners and our viewers, that technical fault is a challenge, but we keep going. And bringing back Edward, we talk about the book. You wrote a book. At what point did you write the book?
I had started writing it in 2016.
Hmm. And when did you finish it? And what's it? What's it called? How can people get it? And tell us what you talk about it.
Sure. So I'd started in 2016. I finished it in 2017. I had like self-published a version of this book back then that I really didn't do much with. And then this year, I decided that because it was my 10-year cancer anniversary, of being cancer free, that I was going to redo the whole thing. So I had it copy edited. We added some writing to it. I created another foreword. My publisher and I got a publisher. We completely redesigned the whole thing from the cover to the inside of it, and re-released it on 30, I think 30-ish different retail platforms, Barnes & Noble being one of them. It's also on Amazon, Booktopia, and Indigo if you're in different countries. It is called Cancer, Musical Theater, and Other Chronic Illnesses. This is what it looks like.
Hmm.
Very proud of it. It talks a lot about what it is like um, being diagnosed and being a patient, but then also what happens to you when you are no longer either of those things, and you have to kind of like pick up the pieces and figure it out. Um, but it's written. I tried to make it as fun as possible. It is as funny as possible. I've been referring to it as like a fantasy nonfiction dark humor musical theater piece of writing that kind of centers around the timeline of being diagnosed to treated to almost dying to recovering, and the roller coaster and up and downs that are associated with all of those components.
Oh, great. So that's cancer, musical theater, and other chronic illnesses. Now, I kind of get confused there. Do you put do you want to put it like musical theater is or how tell us, explain to us.
So, so
Illness.
I grew up doing musicals my whole life. I've always done them. They've always been a part of my life.
Mhm.
Love me some Broadway. Just saw Little Shop of Horrors last night, and fortunate enough to live in New York City where I can just pop out of my front door and go see Broadway if I want. So what I did with the book is that each chapter is divided into different Broadway musical themes. So like if there's a Phantom of the Opera musical, then like if I meet a doctor that decide to call like Dr. Phantom of the Opera, then like that character will stay with me throughout,
Mhm.
regardless of whether or not the chapter changes by musical or not. And I just kind of like use a lot of references to other shows and other pieces of music inside of it that like you don't necessarily have to know for you to understand the story, but if you do know, it makes it a lot more fun.
Okay. Oh, we're gonna find out about it. And so, what would you tell the other people who have or who may be suffering from cancer or who have gone past cancer? What life would you tell? Life lessons would you leave with them?
I think I would say pay attention to who's around you. The people who show up are going to be the people that are going to show up for you always. I would also say be aware of people who are trauma junkies. I did not tell people I had cancer. I told my closest friends and I told my family. And I did that because there's a certain sect of people that when they hear something is wrong with you, they want to come running to your side and beat their breast and just pretend that like they're your best friend and they're going to do everything for you. And my thinking behind not telling anyone was that if something would have happened to me, I wouldn't want my family, my parents, or my friends to have to deal with those people. And so I kept it to myself. So I would say beware of those people, but then also like hold the ones that are close to you that are doing right by you closer and recognize that those are your people.
Okay. Yeah, so those who are joining us now, we are talking to Edward Miskie, talking about his life with cancer, the before and the after, and about the book that is written. Now, we are about to end this episode, and we would ask people to connect with you. How would they connect with you?
They can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter at Edward Miskie. That's Miskie. You can also find the book Cancer, Musical Theater, and Other Chronic Illnesses on Barnes & Noble and Amazon if you're in the States.
Okay, so go and connect with Edward Miskie and get the book and get to know much more about the experiences. So that's about it for today. And we thank you for taking your time and being with us despite the challenges, despite the surprises we got in the episode. It's been a good episode, and we thank you for the time.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
What last lesson would you leave the listener with?
A last lesson. Oh no, pressure. Um, you are in charge of your life and you get to decide what you do today and tomorrow and the day after that.
Oh yeah, you are in charge of your life. Go and decide how you're gonna deal with it. That is coming from Edward Misky, and that's about it for today's episode. Now tell us, I've been your host Anthony Morore, and our guest. Together, we are saying bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye.